What's going on, everybody? Back in the shop today. Got the Honda 185S in here. It's running a little rough. We bought a brand new carburetor for it. We're going to get that swapped out. We're going to show you how to tear everything down, swap the carburetor out, put the new one on, and put everything back together. Here we go. We're going to start out first step. Got to remove this back fender. We're going to set that out of the way. Next thing we're going to do, we got a 10mm socket on our impact. Just want to take this 10mm bolt right here, remove it, put it in a safe spot, and then to take this tank off, you just simply raise up on the back and slide out. Next step, we're going to remove these two 10mm bolts along with this 10mm bolt, and it's going to that's going to take the pressure off of our breather so we can slide it off of our carburetor. Next thing we got to do, we got two 10mm nuts that hold our carburetor on. We're going to take and remove those. There's one on each side. Next step is to remove our throttle cable from our carburetor. Once you pull this cap off, be careful because there's a spring in there and it could all fly out, so just remove it easy. Next step is to slide this carburetor back off of the studs on the intake. Just slide it back and bring it down, and you'll be able to take this hose off of your breather. And this may be a little tricky. Just slide it off like that right there. After you take all your hoses and your lines off, gas lines, then that'll break free. And that's your old carburetor. Next step, when we got our carburetor off, we want to loosen up this hose clamp because we're going to reuse this. So we'll just loosen this up. And that should slide right off there. Just like that. So we got our new carburetor here. I'm going to take it out and remove it. Comes with a new gas line. And it's just pretty much repeating the same steps but in reverse. We're going to slide this back on here. Tighten it back down. Once we get it tight, we'll slide it back on the breather and slide it back on the studs and tighten them down. So the next thing we want to do before we put everything back on here, we want to take the cap off, pull the spring out, and slide this out really easy. And we'll assemble this back onto our throttle cable. And I'll show you how to do that right here. What we want to do here is slide our throttle cable up through here, put our spring on, and then feed this through this hole, and you can push it and it'll set in its own little spot right in this. Next step, we're going to slide our carburetor back up through here. Try not to damage anything. It's a pretty tight fit. Slide our hose back up on our breather. So once you get your hose, your pipe hooked back up onto your breather, you can slide the carburetor back on the studs. Once you get those on there, you take your nuts, thread those back onto the studs, and tighten those down. So once you get your nuts snugged up onto these studs, you can come back here, get your 3 bolts, to secure your breather box back down. Once that's secure, you can come over here and make sure that your notch is lined up on the side where you adjust your air ratio. It'll slide right down in there, and you can screw this cap back on. So once you've got your throttle cable secure, you can take all your hoses and tuck them away. Hook this vacuum hose back up. And we've cut an extra piece to connect to our inline filter to run to our tank. Once we get our hose hooked back up to our inline filter, we can get our tank. We've got these two rubber pieces here. That's where our tank's going to ride. You can see where your tank's going to slide in there. So we'll take our tank, set it back in there. Push the back down over this stud here. Take our washer and our bolt, thread it back on. Take our 10mm socket and our impact, snug that up. Come over here and grab our seat. Same thing, just like the tank. Our seat's going to ride on these two pieces here. We'll set it in there. Lock it down. After our seat's on, we can hook our main fuel line up to our tank. Take our petcock valve, turn our gas on. Let the carburetor fill up. So once we give it about 10 seconds or so to fill the carburetor up with fuel, we'll come over here, turn our switch to run, and it should fire up. Give it a little gas. Runs really good, no more black smoke, it's not flooding out anymore, so that's a good sign. Maybe we can get out there and do a few videos and play around on this thing for y'all. Do a couple wheelies. Thanks for watching, like, comment, subscribe. Fix and let this thing rip.